Listen, I've not really been one to try and put a ton of, like, blame on Democrats for not stopping the unconstitutional, basically unstoppable coup that's occurring in our government with Trump and MAGA attempting to dismantle our Constitution and our democracy in favor of emplacing an oligarchy with Trump basically at the head as its king. There's not really much you can do as the opposition minority party in this situation. We're not really far from the point where Trump starts calling in the military and police to start arresting political opponents that are actively serving in our government just for being against him. We're not far away from that. And so, while I haven't put much pressure on the Dems to, like, go really far to try and obstruct the Republicans at every turn, because it could literally, in a year or two, lead to prison time, I have to admit, I would like to see more of what we're going to be talking about today. Senator Cory Booker broke the world record for the longest filibuster in the entire Senate's history. For those that don't know, when the Senate might be making a vote on something and said vote is going to go a certain way, and we all know it's going to go a certain way because a certain party has the majority in the Senate, the minority party can attempt to take the speaker's floor, and because they're allowed to hold it for as long as they want to, they can just talk and talk and talk. They can talk about anything. Like, they could theoretically go up there and just, like, start reading off the Wikipedia page for all Elder Scrolls lore and be like, all right, let's hear more. Let's hear more about Skyrim. Let's learn about the land of Skyrim. Okay, so, and just be doing that on their laptop the whole time. They can just yap about anything, and it delays the vote. And that's important, because with stuff like this, in this government, we need to delay the Republicans as much as possible. The problem is, this basically means that if you want to slow something like this down, you've basically got to do, like, a streamer challenge almost. You have to try and endure as long as possible. And that is what Cory Booker did, to a degree that is downright insanely impressive. Like, he is going to go down in the history books for this. And he actually, after his 25-hour-long filibuster, appeared on CNN for an interview. Yeah, like, I don't even know how he was able to do this, because I would just be collapsing at this point. He must be a very regularly hard-worked man, because he seems like this isn't even something all that crazy to him. But he did this interview, and I very much want to see it. Cocaine? How could he... What time did he have to do the cocaine? He had to be at the pedestal for 25 straight hours. He must have been pissing in a bottle, right? Anyway, let's watch.
And Senator Booker is joining me now, and for anybody watching at home...
Hold on, chat. Let me know now, and comment down below if you're watching this when this goes out as its own separate video, if you think he was pissing in a bottle. He starved and dehydrated himself beforehand. Comment down below how you think that bathroom situation was working out. Because 25 hours, I could never hold it for 25 hours. There had to have been some kind of recess or a bottle or something, some opportunity for him to relieve himself, or a diaper. Yeah, chat, let me know what your theories are, and if you're watching this when it goes up as its own video in the future, leave in the comments your theory as to how he handled the bathroom situation. I'm actually curious to read what you guys' theories are, and also, keep in mind your comments each boost the channel and the algorithm and help us to grow, so thank you to everyone who likes and comments.
Please understand, we gave him a chair. He's sitting in a chair right now. The illusion is that he's standing.
He stood, by the way, for 25 straight hours. He stood up and spoke on that podium in the bright lighting for 25 straight hours. It's not just that he was sitting in a chair, like slumped over in a dim room, barely awake, like eyes half closed. He was alert and awake in a room full of people, lights all on. talking while standing up for 25 straight. That is, I don't know if you've ever attempted like a 12-hour live stream in your lives. You probably haven't, but I have, and that shit was surprisingly hard.
But for people who don't know, you had to stand the whole time. You couldn't take a bathroom break. The only break of any sort you got was if one of your colleagues would ask you a question to give your voice a break.
Yes.
How are you feeling? Yeah, physically and also emotionally, the longest speech in the history of the U.S. Senate.
Well, I'm physically not in the best shape, but I am emotionally.
Oh, so I saw bits of this. That makes sense, because I saw that, like, Democrats would ask him questions, and sometimes they would be nonsense. Like, okay, so that's like giving him a break, because if someone's asking him a question, he doesn't have to speak. So filling air with as much nonsense in your question directed at him as possible, if you're trying to help him, gives him a minute to breathe and relax so he can go for longer. The Midland Connection, thank you for the $5 Australian. I really appreciate the support. It means a lot. Donated saying, turns out the woke mind virus gives the left incredible bowel control. Alex Jones probably doesn't have it, is what I assume you meant to say.
Just feeling really fed right now and grateful, and kind of just really grateful for a lot of the people who lent support to the effort, and obviously the constituents, the dozens and dozens of folks who gave me their stories, who gave me their hurt, their pain, their anger, their demands of me that I read.
This is a rare Jersey W, yeah. And mind you, he was like speaking about important issues, not just yapping while on stage.
And they're really humble offers that tell me what I can do. It was some very moving speeches, and then some of my colleagues came on the floor and just told them very emotional stories too that really sourced me through the whole challenge.
It was obviously a very emotional experience. Just one more question on the physicality of it, which is, you were a football star at Stanford University. You're 56 years old now, but you were a football star 20-something years ago. Was this more difficult than being a football star and taking some of those hits on the gridiron?
It was just different, my friend. It was just different. This was real, physical challenge. I had to think of a lot of strategic things to do in order to prepare for it. And then, and you're right, I'm a lot older than that football player, a lot less hair too. So it was a challenge, it was a trial, but I really felt lifted by the energy as the Congress people started coming over, a lot of my CBC, Congressional Black Caucus friends. It just turned out to be, when the gallery started filling up, it was a lot of folks' energy that really carried me to try to do as I sort of framed the whole speech with John Lewis's demand to all of us.
Dude, I think this is directly after. Something you'll notice is like the way his voice is cracking and how hoarse he sounds. That's not just from talking nonstop. It's the tiredness, dude. Like something you can hear in a man who is truly exhausted from being up for a long time is they can't do what my voice is doing right now. If I had been up as long as he had been, I can't even imitate it, because you get so hoarse, it's hard to even imitate. Hold on. You'd sound a little more like this. Like if I had been up for like 12 hours, I'd be trying to like enunciate, but then I can't even get my voice to crack to like imitate it. But like when I sound not too different from this when I've stayed up for like way too late and I'm really tired. I'm sure you guys have been there too, where it's like you're croaking out each word and it's a battle just to speak. So not only did he do 25 straight hours, I think he then went straight on to CNN to do this interview and is just croaking out those words. And you can see when I pause, when he's blinking, these are like slow blinks where he's trying to get as much shut-eye out of every blink as possible to keep the lights out, which are probably just burning his retinas right now. And he's just so fucking exhausted. You can hear it in the way he's speaking. Bro is a trooper. He is going to go down in history for this, and he deserves it.
His spirit just talked a lot about doing good trouble and necessary trouble.
It was a very moving part of your speech. We should note the previous record was set rather ignominiously by then Democrat, eventually he became a Republican, Senator Strom Thurmond, who was filibustering the Civil Rights Act in 1957. You weren't filibustering anything.
Against civil rights.
You were giving this speech, so not to block legislation, but I want to know, what do you say to somebody who says, well, why were you doing this? Other people have done it to block legislation. Ted Cruz did it to try to stop Obamacare. I think he was doing it in 2013, maybe. Your friend, Senator Chris Murphy, who was there with you the whole time, did it to try to get some anti-gun legislation votes. Tell us the purpose of this.
I think we're really at a point in America where things are happening that don't sit right with people of both sides of the aisle. I did everything I could to read from Republican governors, from the Cato Institute, from the Manhattan Institute, all talking about just the insanity of trying.
It sounds like there's like a trash, like a dumpster being emptied into a dump truck. Like that's the only thing I can mentally connect that weird noise we're hearing to, is like the sound of a dumpster clanging.
To pass a budget right now that's going to blow the biggest single president record for creating more debt, more deficit, giving tax cuts that are disproportionately going to go to the wealthiest Americans who don't need that tax cut, and then all the while gutting things like Medicaid. It just makes no sense. There's so many things going on by this president who is trashing our allies, bullying Canada, who is in many ways just violating judges' orders, trampling on our Article 1 powers. So I just wanted to give a speech that said that this is not normal, and we can't normalize it. And all of us have a responsibility to do something different, to take some risks, to be there for each other, and to try to ignite a larger movement in our country.
Dude, like, this is actually a really, really good example of obstructing the Republicans. Because when you do stuff like this, you're going to eventually push them to the point where the only way they can push through what they want to do in a timely manner without pushback is to get so blatantly unconstitutional with it, they don't even allow any form of our democracy to occur anymore, like to take place anymore. Like to shut down Senate filibusters, to get rid of the filibuster, like that. Like it would be like, there's a reason why Democrats didn't do it, and it's because it was unpopular, and Republicans would have freaked out. If the Republicans go through with that, I assume the level of partisan behavior there being on display. Sorry, I'm kind of brain farting right now. On display, I would hope a fair amount of conservative voters would see that and be like, "What the fuck?" Okay, so the filibuster is good when Republicans are the minority, but we immediately get rid of it the second they're in the majority. Okay. And hopefully that would set off the alarm bells for a lot of centrist but still Republican voters who think the Dems are like too partisan or whatever. You hear that rhetoric a lot, and unfortunately, normies believe it.
The kind of movement that stopped Donald Trump from taking away the Affordable Care Act, and perhaps together, collectively, if we all speak out, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, to the absurdity of some of this, perhaps we can make changes and change some policies and get some other Republicans to change their votes to stop bad things from happening.
Just to play a little bit more of your speech, you did acknowledge Senator Strom Thurmond and his record-breaking until today, 24-hour, 18-minute speech to oppose the Civil Rights Act. Let's roll a little bit about what you had to say about Senator Thurmond.
To hate him was wrong. And maybe my ego got too caught up that if I stood here, just maybe I could break this record of the man who tried to stop the rights upon which I stand.
That's powerful, breaking his record, by the way. For those who don't know, back in the 1950s and before, the party system was very different to the way it is today. Politics was much more broken up between the Democrat and Republican parties of the South, of southern states, and of northern states. Northern states tend to be more progressive, whether, like, just across the board, the politicians in both parties tend to lean more left by our standard. Like, there wasn't really that party split over social issues, mostly. We're not like the big split, like, between parties. It was mostly like economic stuff, from my understanding, like not much to do with social policy. While in the South, it was all conservative social policy, Democrats and Republicans. So a Democrat from a southern state back in the 50s filibustered for like 20 straight hours against the Civil Rights Act. That's for those that are not American and don't know why in the 50s a Democrat filibustered against the Civil Rights Act, that is why. The state of our party system was very different back then. It wasn't Republicans right, Democrats left. It was South right, North left, for the most part. It was a state-by-state thing, but the South and North was still a very impactful thing affecting like the lineup of people's political ideology.
I'm not here, though, because of his speech. I'm here despite his speech. I'm here because as powerful as he was, the people were more powerful.
Now, let me confess. You told me that you were going to try to do this. Now, you didn't say that you were going to make it to beat Strom Thurmond. You didn't even know if you were going to make it to the top 10. Chris Murphy, I guess, was number 10 in terms of the history books. I think Ted Cruz was maybe 6 or something like that, maybe 5. But in any case, did you think you were going to be able to achieve this? And how does it feel to know that you knocked him out of the history books on that issue?
Chris Murphy and I had a moment around the 15th hour when we were passing what we did together. I told Chris Murphy I wasn't going to sit down if he wasn't going to sit down. So I did everything that he did for me today to sort of, you have somebody running point for you, running interference for you. Chris was amazing today. And at the 15th hour, he came over to me and said, "How you feeling?" And I really at that point felt I could do it. I felt I could do it. And I will tell you, the reality is that I really felt the energy of a lot of folks. The gallery was filled. There were colleagues there. My cousin Pam, she stayed up in the gallery the entire 25 hours.
Bro, you could tell he really wishes he could take like a 1 hour of sleep pill just to do this one interview. Cause like, man, I want to do this interview, but I'm so tired. You know that's what he's thinking right now. I see it in his eyes. He's not saying it, but he's thinking it.
So I was riding on some really great spiritual power from people around the country and from people that were there, and I feel really grateful for them. And then every time I read a constituent letter, folks just, when they write letters, sometimes they just really open up the most personal stories from their lives, share their fears, their worries, their anxieties, their demands, their anger. And reading those letters gave me a lot of strength too. So I'm just grateful right now, despite the fact that I'm in rough shape.
You'll be okay.
I'm in rough shape.
I'm not worried. You'll bounce back. But before you go, what do you say to a person out there who is inspired by what you did today, making history, who says, well, I'm not a senator and I can't give a speech and I can't get on television?
Apparently, according to Rizkor, Vosh called this empty performative optic politics. Like, okay. This is just exactly what the Republicans did. Like, I get, like, the sentiment is that the Democrats need to do rule-bending things like the Republicans do. But this is that. Like, the shit that keeps the Democrats from achieving their goals, even when they're the majority and they hold the executive branch, that is this. The Democrats are now the party in the minority, using what little loopholes they can to, like, exert power, and this is one of them. Stopping a vote and delaying it through the filibuster has been done by the Republicans for decades and decades and decades. It's why the liberals have always said, get rid of the filibuster, because the Republicans always used it to subvert the Democrats even outside of a majority. And now we're doing it, but it's hollow because I get it. Liberals are cringe or whatever. That's like the liberal or the leftist internet meme. But like, I don't know. Vosh praised Booker's actions. He admitted it was performative, but also said all politics are performative. Okay, so is it just like Was it just like commentary, or was it a criticism? I don't even know. Regardless, there's just this weird sentiment in the left of like liberals are bad and always cringe and always the like unwitting tools of fascists and whatnot. And it's just, it's LARP. It's LARP. It's just like, it's just air. People believe it and people say it, but it doesn't really align with reality all that well.
In interviews, but I do want to make a difference. What do you tell that person, whether they are MAGA or progressive Democrat, whatever, but somebody who wants to make a difference?
Well, I hope that people listen to how I framed the speech. I really talked about a guy that many of us remember him as Congressman John Lewis, but he was a 21, 22-year-old guy when he went and started to become what we know now as one of the bravest people in the civil rights movement. So I love what Desmond Tutu says: do your little bits of good as often as you can, as much as you can, and with the confidence to know that if your little bits of goods combined with other little bits of good, it can overwhelm the world. And we need some energy now to begin to renew our dream, to redeem our dream in this country, because I think a lot of people are surrendering to cynicism about this country. And this country wasn't built by cynics. It was people under the most difficult circumstances, like John Lewis, that loved this country even when it didn't love it back, but demanded from this country that it be better. And I think we need a lot more people with vision and determination and a little defiance to try to do what they can to make America live up to its hope.
Now, this is just exactly what the Dems need to be doing right now. Well, like, to be clear, this is not all the Dems need to be doing, right? Like, this is a very good policy level, like in the Senate, stopping Republicans from voting on something we know is going to pass because they have the majority on their vote. And the Dems don't really have enough voter power or power in the Senate to actually stop it. So you can just delay it. That's great. This is a good example of what the Republicans have always done. But on top of this, I'm not saying this is all that needs to be done. There also needs to be a social media revolution when it comes to the Democrats in America. The Republicans did this pre-Trump, and Gamergate came about as a symptom of the Republican establishment tackling the internet with all of its force and all of its funding. Nowadays, we've become very used to the state of the online space being full of highly corporate-funded conservative pundits like Tim Pool, who came out was backed by the Russian government. We've become really used to this stuff. It's the norm now. But back in like 2016, that was not the case. It started with some self-made anti-SJW YouTubers talking about how crazy some viral videos were of some feminists melting down. That was how it started. And the right and the Republican establishment recognized the opportunity to dominate the cultural landscape of the biggest communication network online or in the world, which is the internet, the online world. And they took that opportunity immediately. And they've been investing into the internet for over a decade now, like a decade and a half now, and it's paid dividends. No one can deny this. Look at what their culture war managed to achieve. It's insane. America is deranged now because of the propaganda they've been able to spread and the quantity and magnitude of propaganda they've spread. We need the Democrats to essentially put together like a massive, well-funded wing of their party dedicated to like internet ambassadorship of some kind. In the same way that the Republicans are super tight with the world of podcast bros, the gamer bro scene, like there's not even connections in a lot of these places. And it's just individual grifters seeking out their own penny to Donald Trump's benefit and MAGA and the Republicans' benefit. But there's also situations like the Tates, or not the Tates, the Paul brothers and Theo Vaughn and all these podcast bros going to Trump's inauguration because they backed him, they supported him, they were courted by the Republican Party into thinking he's so cool, they should totally give him their endorsement. The Democrat Party needs something on par, if not outdoing what the Republicans did. That is going to be a big step taken to fight against what the domination of our government the right has taken. But this here, in the realm of Washington, is a great example of fighting back. It's not LARPy. It's not sanctimonious. It's not ineffective. I feel like it marks all the boxes for, yes, this is what I want to see more of from the Democrats. And big shout out to Senator Cory Booker. I could not have done what he did. I think I would have collapsed from exhaustion after 9 hours of speaking. Like, I think that would have gotten me. Like, I actually would have collapsed because I would have gone too long without taking a breath, and I would have straight up, I think, like, asphyxiated for a sec. Because, like, I would have tried to, like, push myself through a sentence I didn't have enough air for at some point, and I'd just collapse. Dude, like, I could not go for that long, uninterrupted, no breaks, just trying to hold a spot. That is wild, dude. Anyway, big respect to Senator Cory Booker, and what a wild situation this was. I hope bro gets to sleep for the next 3 days, dude. He needs like 40 hours of sleep. And I hope it is uninterrupted and very sound. Regardless, though, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it enjoyable, entertaining, or educational, then please consider leaving a like and a comment. Every single thumbs up and every comment boosts the channel in the algorithm like a little electric shock that forces YouTube to push my stuff out to more people who've never seen it before, helping us to grow and gain new subs and make the channel bigger and better. So it really means a lot when you guys like and comment on every new video. Same goes for if you're new and you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias, linked down below in the description, including, of course, my fan Discord, which is the main hub of my community and fan base, by the way. I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and even movie nights there as well. I also do announcements for all my new uploads and streams too, so if YouTube bugs out, you won't miss anything as long as you're in my Discord. Once again, links down below in the description if you are interested. And finally, if you want to support the stream directly to help me stay on YouTube with the roof above my head and the lights on, and you want to support the stream, then consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch from Streamlabs through the link in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, even if you're just lurking, thank you so much for watching, as always, and have a good one.